So it appears that India and Russia are tired of the BS of the United States. Well, can't really say I blame them. Thanks for tuning into this live stream segment of Mikasa Sukasa. So, India and Russia have decided to ditch the US dollar. That sucks. Yeah, I use a dollar, not gonna lie. I used it this morning when I bought my breakfast. So I kind of want that to still have some type of value by the time it's all said and done. But it seems like the US hegemon, the military industrial complex, the foreign policy establishment, and everybody of the sort decided, hey, whatever, let's just screw the American citizens and mess up our economy by meddling with every other government in every other country and getting involved in every other conflict around the world. So in this article by it was written in RT. The article is titled "Ditching the Dollar: National Currency Payments Key to Boosting Russia-India Trade," says Putin. So the article says that trade turnover between Russia and India, which grew by 17% last year, reaching 11 billion, has huge potential for further growth. Russian President Vladimir Putin said at the Eastern Economic Forum in Vladivostok. I'm not Eastern European, so you have to forgive my horrible pronunciation. Putin held talks with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who arrived Wednesday to the event, which promotes trade in Russia's Far East. According to the Russian president, it is important to use the national currencies in mutual settlements. We consider the introduction of the practice of using national currencies in our settlements to be a key component of the work with our Indian partners, as well as ensuring smooth interbank transactions, which would help India join the Bank of Russia financial message transfer system, Putin said. Russia is one of India's key partners in nuclear energy and is ready to develop their cooperation even further, with at least 12 nuclear power units planned to be built over the next 20 years. Now, another important part of this article is that it says Putin and Modi that they expect trade turnover between Russia and India to triple by 2025, reaching 30 billion. Now, some people may not see this as a big deal. Inevitably, there's always somebody who doesn't see something like this as a big deal, and oftentimes Americans don't pay attention to things like this. It's relatively innocuous, but if you know anything about geopolitical or the geopolitical arena as far as trade and economics are concerned, Russia and India have always kind of been, they've been friendly. They're part of that quote unquote BRICS association, which would be Brazil, Russia, India, China, and I always forget the last one, or maybe that's it. Oh, South Africa. So they've been, relatively close, but they've never been like, I don't know, drop the dollar tomorrow close. They've never been that close. And the reason why I think that they are getting to that point, well, what have we been doing in the media lately? We've been lying about Russia, literally using Putin's name, right? Over and over again, demonizing him to the, don't get me wrong. Once again, Putin is a world leader of a world power. And of course he is no angel by any means, but that doesn't mean we can lie about him. Oh yeah, Putin hacked our elections. And that's not an exaggeration. We literally have said that in the mainstream media. And then you look at the other side of that coin with Modi. The situation in India and Kashmir, which oftentimes leaves out the mention of, I don't know, Pakistan, which is another huge part of that entire conflict. That conversation is something that should be delved into way deeper than what it has developed into, which is Modi is an evil human being and he just wants to go in there and destroy Muslims' lives. And that's not the case. Because if you've done further research, you would know that Imran Khan, who is the prime minister of Pakistan, actually said he basically doesn't have control over his government, and that there have been numerous terrorist attacks in Kashmir on behalf of Pakistan or terrorist organizations in Pakistan, because the military has control over Pakistan, not Khan. And so because of all the terrorist attacks, that has a huge part to do with why the people of Kashmir asked for India to get involved. Now, that doesn't mean that the way he's gone about it is correct, but what I'm saying is things are much more complicated than what the United States media tries and pretends it is. And so instead of talking from a point of understanding and doing some investigative work and trying to reach a point of cooperation between the nations, we instead demonize any of our military or economic adversaries instead of trying to understand what's going on. And that's why I find it funny that Tulsi was demonized for this, for meeting with Modi in 2014, 2015-ish, somewhere around that time frame. And you know what she said? She predicted something that clearly Putin had already seen coming, and a lot of people who knew what Modi did for Gujarat, they kind of had a good feeling about how he was going to behave as prime minister. And she said, I'm meeting with Modi in order for us to make economic relations with this president that we really have had a lot of beef with, not as prime minister yet, but just personally, right? Our GOP had demonized Modi in the past. So I want to try and repair sour relations, but not just with Modi. We do have to work with his opposition as well, because obviously you have to go through the legislature to get things done. So she met with both Modi and the opposition. And guess what her reason was? Because she knew India was about to be on the come up. I mean, with things like public banking, them investing in their technology industry, them giving 100% approved grants and loans to small businesses. She could see what is happening right now. And guess what the result of Modi's economic policies were? Between the time of 2014 and 2019, India's economy wasn't second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, or 15th largest and growing economy in the world. It was the first. In the last 5 years, Modi's economic policies have made India the largest growing economy in the world. And so instead of taking advantage of that, instead of applauding Tulsi for having the foresight to recognize when, okay, there's some people who are good at certain things, and Modi, apparently she knew he was good at economics. And she knew that we needed to repair sour relations, because remember, we barred Modi's visa at the time. So she's trying to repair relations, have us get a piece of that pie, invest in India, and in turn, India would obviously reinvest in trade talks and trade relations with our country. And instead, we're currently demonizing him instead of going to figure out what's going on and see if we can work some things out. So now we don't get a piece of that pie. And in fact, it's even worse than that. They're just like, screw it. The United States is out of control, and our government is out of control. And now these countries like India, like Russia, are teaming up. And China is going to be involved in this as well. And make no mistake about it, once Brazil's, when Bolsonaro is out, because he's one of our puppets, and somebody like Lula gets back in, and we're going to inevitably demonize him too, or her, guess what's going to happen? Brazil's going to be next to drop it. Don't forget, Venezuela dropped the United States dollar as well, which is when we put their diplomats on the ban list and we started trying to set up a soft coup in their country. So this is going to become a pattern. I believe it's already 23 nations total have left the United States dollar. But now we're talking about some of the most powerful economic superpowers in the world, and the first largest growing economy in the world about to drop the United States dollar. Our economy is going to plummet if we do not ring in this foreign policy and this corrupt establishment. We cannot allow sensationalism and tribalism and media manipulation to destroy this country. So when are we going to start listening when we talk about the fact that you cannot separate domestic policy from foreign policy? You cannot. We don't take it seriously enough. And it's important that we start paying attention, because you keep not paying attention to what's going on out there outside of the United States. Eventually, it will come back. It will come back to haunt you. That's why this election is so incredibly important. Think about all the people who have all the presidential candidates right now who have demonized Modi or attacked Modi or demonized Putin and attacked Putin. Think about all of them. Right? Okay. There's only, I think, one or two, if you want to include Mike Gravel, who have not done that and have instead said, hey, if we want to talk about climate change, if we want to talk about economics, if we want to actually stop seeing pain and suffering in these countries, we need to be willing to sit down. FDR sat down with Stalin. Reagan sat down with, I want to say it was Gorbachev. Yeah, Reagan sat down with Gorbachev in Russia. You have to do that. It's one. First of all, I thought that was called being an adult, right? I thought that's what that was called, but we don't have a lot of adults running the country anymore. You have to be willing to sit down, even with people you consider adversaries, to get the entire story, and then see if you can work through the geopolitical issues together as a team. Because at the end of the day, we only have one planet. And the average person is going to be the one to take that bullet. The average person is going to be the one to suffer. I know it's hard to get past the egos of these superpower nations, of the leaders of these superpower nations, excuse me. But at the end of the day, when egos clash, when the egos of leaders of superpower nations clash, it's always the people who suffer. And there's only a few leaders around the world who understand this. And that's why they are willing to talk to adversaries in order to try and repair relations and improve relations, rather than pointing the finger and always trying to make a bad guy out of anyone who stands in your way of economic dominance. Other than that, I will post this RT article in the link, the link to the RT article in the description, so you can check it out as well. I strongly encourage you to do so, and we'll try to follow this as closely as possible, because this is extremely important. Like I said, they're going to try. India is the first largest growing economy in the world. Russia's constantly growing as well. We have really tumultuous relationships with both of them right now, based off of lies, right? Based off of lies. I want to be very clear about that. China, look at what's happening with China. That's why we're trying to, we've been using PSYOPs in Hong Kong, which is one of ours, if you don't know that. Sophia did a fantastic video about that. I strongly encourage you all to go check that out too. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for tuning into this live stream segment of Mikasa Sukasa. And always remember, more than anything else, find your balance. Peace. Hey, don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you like that segment of Mikasa Sukasa. Also, you can help us upgrade the studio and take this show on the road to cover the on-the-ground politics that you love by clicking on that GoFundMe link in the description and donating literally anything. Anything helps. Also, you can follow us on Rockfin, on Twitter, and on Facebook as well. And hey, more than anything else, people, always remember, find your balance. Peace.